The halls of Jefferson High buzzed with early morning chatter as students moved between lockers and classrooms. Amid the crowd, Maria Alvarez pushed her janitor cart, dressed in navy blue coveralls, her black hair tied in a bun. At 40, she was a quiet fixture in the building, unnoticed by most but always there, wiping boards, replacing bulbs, and sweeping floors long after the final bell rang. Few students knew her name, and even fewer had ever spoken to her. She had worked there for nearly a decade, always punctual, always polite. But what no one knew, not the staff nor the students, was that Maria had once been a rising math star before life forced her into silence. Her dreams of becoming a mathematician were buried long ago, or so she thought. Today, fate had something different in mind, something that would shake this school to its very core. Inside room 304, the advanced calculus class had just begun. Mr. Bradley, a sharp-tongued new teacher with a chip on his shoulder, was explaining a complex multi-step logarithmic derivative problem on the board. The students, most of them 17 or 18, looked dazed. Some scribbled notes they didn't understand. Others stared blankly. Mr. Bradley enjoyed showing off, frequently reminding students of how few people could solve such problems without a calculator. As Maria passed by the open door with her mop, he spotted her and smirked. With a voice full of condescension, he called out, "Hey, Maria, want to give this one a try?" Laughter erupted in the room. Students turned to look at her with amused grins. Maria paused, her hand gripping the mop handle. Her eyes moved to the board. She stepped inside the room slowly, ignoring the giggles. "May I?" she asked softly, her voice calm and even. Mr. Bradley, half expecting her to fumble or retreat, handed her the marker like it was part of some cruel joke. Maria approached the whiteboard and studied the equation for a moment. The room went silent. As she began writing, her strokes were confident and fast. First, she rewrote the function. Then came the chain rule. Then the product rule. She factored, derived, and simplified. Her hands moved with muscle memory that hadn't faded. Within moments, a clean and correct answer stood on the board, boxed and neat. "You missed a negative sign earlier," she said, capping the marker. Mr. Bradley stared, mouth slightly open, trying to catch up. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The students were stunned. The teacher blinked, looked at the board again, and whispered, "She's right." Maria gave a small nod and walked out, resuming her cleaning without another word. Phones came out immediately. Someone snapped a picture of the board. By lunch, the photo had circulated through half the school. Some Googled the problem and checked her solution line by line. She hadn't just guessed. She had solved a problem from a real collegiate-level exam flawlessly. Students gathered in corners whispering, "Did you hear what the janitor did?" By the next morning, the story had reached beyond Jefferson High. The viral photo of Maria's perfectly solved equation caught the attention of a local education blogger, then a regional news station. Students who had never noticed her before now greeted her with smiles and whispered awe. Maria, shy and humble, continued pushing her janitor cart as usual, ignoring the attention. But Mr. Bradley was a different man, now no longer smug, but humbled and visibly embarrassed. That afternoon, the principal called Maria into her office. She was nervous, thinking she had broken some rule. But instead, she was met with applause. "We had no idea," the principal said, tears in her eyes. "You have a gift." Maria quietly explained that she once had a scholarship to study mathematics, but had to give it up when her mother fell ill. Life had changed, and she never got the chance to go back. The principal wasn't the only one who wanted to talk. A representative from the school board visited 2 days later, offering Maria a paid opportunity to assist with the math club and tutor struggling students after school. At first, she hesitated, not because she didn't want to, but because she couldn't believe she was being asked. The students, once dismissive, now looked at her with admiration. One girl even approached her in tears saying, "I want to be like you. You're the reason I didn't drop math." Maria accepted. The janitor closet where she once kept cleaning supplies now also held lesson plans and textbooks. Every day after her cleaning shift, she stayed an extra hour in the library, helping students understand concepts their teachers couldn't explain as clearly. But the real turning point came when Jefferson High hosted its annual district math competition. For the first time, they placed in the top 3. The team captain publicly thanked Maria, calling her their secret weapon. She didn't stand on the stage but watched from the back, smiling proudly. A week later, the school received a letter from a small university in the state. Someone had forwarded Maria's story to them, and the dean himself invited her to apply for a part-time continuing education program. They offered to cover tuition. "It's never too late," the letter said. Maria wept when she read it. She hadn't thought of herself as a student in 20 years, but now, the door she once thought closed forever had opened again. Mr. Bradley, the teacher who once mocked her, asked to speak with her privately. He apologized genuinely. "You reminded me why I became a teacher," he said, "and you taught me humility." Maria forgave him because holding grudges wasn't in her nature. Instead, she said, "We all forget what it's like to be underestimated." The two ended up co-leading the school's first interdisciplinary STEM workshop, where Maria's background in real-life problem-solving made her a favorite among students. Her sessions were always full. She used metaphors from her janitorial work, plumbing systems as flow equations, cleaning schedules as time optimization problems. Kids loved it. She had made math feel human. Months passed and Maria began attending weekend university classes. She still worked as a janitor during the week, but now wore 2 identities proudly. One afternoon, she got a call from a national education nonprofit. They had heard her story and wanted to feature her in a documentary about unconventional educators. The cameras followed her quietly for a few days, capturing the mop in one hand and a textbook in the other. When the video was released, it went viral nationwide. Tens of thousands watched as Maria stood before a chalkboard explaining a concept most adults couldn't grasp, with clarity and calm confidence. The closing shot was of her putting on gloves to scrub a hallway floor, never once complaining, never looking for praise. One evening, as she was leaving the library, a parent approached her. His son, once failing algebra, had recently aced his exams. "He says you're the reason," the man said, shaking her hand. "You've changed our lives." Maria looked at the stars above the school building and whispered a silent thank you to her late mother, who once told her, "Even if you clean floors, do it with your head held high." She had lived those words, and in doing so, proved that brilliance doesn't always wear a suit or sit at the front of the class. Sometimes, it pushes a mop cart through empty hallways and carries wisdom born not just from books, but from life itself.